Now that we have our Spring Boot application built out, it's time to move on to the Angular side of things. So to do so, we're actually going to use the Angular CLI, the command line interface. And this tool really allows us to scaffold out new applications and then create new things like components or directives inside of our Angular application. So if you haven't used the Angular CLI before, I definitely recommend checking it out. But if you haven't, it's really easy to install. npm install -g for global at angular/CLI. So what we're going to do is use the CLI to create a new app. We're going to come back to our application here. And if you remember at the beginning of this section when we walked through the demo application, I actually had a folder inside of source main called front end. And again, this was just so that I could have all of that content in one single place. So we're going to do that, and to do so, we're going to pop open a terminal. You could easily pop open a command line if you wanted to. I'm just going to open up terminal here, and you want to make sure that you are in source main. If you just open this up, I actually CD'd into here already. If you just open this up, you'll be in the root of the project. So make sure you CD into source main, and this is where we're going to run our command. So now that with the Angular CLI, we're just going to run ng new. And again, we called this front end in our demo, so I'm going to stay consistent with that. And we're just going to click enter. And it's going to create all of those different folders and files for us. And it's going to go ahead and run through and create all of this for this. And as soon as this is done, we'll actually walk through what it's set up for us. Okay, so it looked like everything was created successfully. Let's go ahead and jump into this. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this directory here. And there's our front end. And this looks like our Angular application. So a couple of things. If we jump into package.json, we'll see that we're running Angular 4. Doesn't matter what version you're running. As long as you're using 2 or above, I think we should be okay for this particular demo. But at this point, you might as well just update Angular CLI and start running the latest version. So the way we bootstrap an Angular application is by looking at the Angular CLI.json, and we see this main property here, and it's set to main.ts. That's for TypeScript. And so if we jump into source, we'll see our main module here, and it's basically going to set up our application and bootstrap the module app module. So if we go into app, we will see an app module, and this is kind of laying out our application. And you'll see the bootstrap for this is the app component. So if we look at app component, it actually sets a title called app, and in our HTML, in our template here, it's going to say welcome to, and then the title. So the title is going to be app, and here's some links to get you started. So that's what the application is going to look like. Now using the Angular CLI, we can just say ng serve, and this is going to fire up our built-in web server for Angular, just so we can serve up that stuff. It says you have to be inside of an Angular CLI project. Whoops. So again, you need to make sure you're in the right directory. So we're going to cd into front end, and we'll run that again. Okay, so it looks like that is ready to go. So if we jump back over to our browser and fire up localhost 4200, we should see that welcome to our app. There's the Angular logo. Here's some links to get you started. So that's basically what the base Angular application looks like when we scaffold it out using the Angular CLI. So that's up and running, and that gives us a great starting point. I'm going to go ahead and stop this. So we're going to leave it off for there. Now we got our Angular app. What we want to do is we want to start to build this out. So in the next lesson, we'll take a look at what the original app looked like when we started this section with the tasks and the add task and the task list component. And we will use Angular CLI to create those different components. And in the rest of the section, we'll build those out and start to connect those to our Spring Boot application. So with that, let's move on to the next lesson.